learning English vocabulary. To start off with, we will understand what are the ways to say goodbye in English. As usual, yes, the first one would be goodbye. Second one is bye, bye bye, or you can also say bye for now. See you later. It means the same. See you later also means the same. Or you can even say see you soon instead of saying goodbye. Talk to you later. Yes, it's already afternoon, so very good afternoon for those who have you joined now. Okay, so we are talking about ways to say goodbye, and we have already spoken about. I've already told you seven of it, or probably six of it. So the seventh one is see you soon. Instead of saying goodbye, you can also say talk to you later, or it can be either take care or a farewell, catch you later, all right then, peace, peace out, or take it easy, later, I'm out. It can either be keep in touch, I gotta take off, have a good one, I've got to get going. See, all these means, it's a way of saying goodbye only. And you can also say, I'm running late, I must get going, take it easy, I'll be off, I'm out, I'm out of here, I got a jet, I got to take off, I got to head out, I got to hit the road, have a nice day, have a good one, good day, I look forward to our next meeting. Until next time, take care. It's been nice to see you again. It was nice meeting you. Later or laters. Good night. See, these are the ways of saying goodbye. Okay, now let us move on to the next one. Other ways to say interesting. So, for those of you who have joined now, we are discussing about English vocabulary, and the first thing we discussed was the ways of saying goodbye. So, moving on to the next topic, other ways to say interesting. There are more than one way to express that something is interesting in one language. Having a broad range of vocabulary at one's disposal is a key to achieving that, and there are handful of ways to refer to something as interesting. So, I'll be discussing about the synonyms and meaning and usage as interesting. So let us also put it in sentences. So the synonym stimulating. Let us give it in the form of a sentence. Something that agitates the brain cells. For example, this seminar has been stimulating. So it's a way of saying that it is interesting. The second is compelling. So, how do we understand this? Something that forces an irresistible interest. So, example, your proposal is very compelling. So, it's a way of saying that your proposal is very interesting. Third one, intriguing. Something that arouses fascination. Example, thanks for the intriguing opportunity. Uh, Next is enthralling, something that ignites fascination. So, example, I can already see an enthralling outcome. Next is engaging. How do we put it across in a sentence? The quality of capturing the attention. Example, The game show had been very engaging. So it's a way of saying that it was very interesting. So you can use such words. The game show had been very engaging. Next, arresting. The characteristics of grabbing the attention. Example, that is one arresting turn of events. Absorbing. The quality of soaking up all the focus. So, what is that? For example, the class has been absorbing from so many angles. So that means you're so interested in the topic discussion. So you can use such words as absorbing, affecting, something that leaves a mark. Example, that has been an affecting speech. So it's an interesting speech. Amusing, something that entertains. So amuse means something which is related to entertainment. So how do we put it across? How do you say that it's interesting in using this word amusing? The comedy movie has been amusing. So it's the other way of saying interesting. Refreshing. So, what's the exact meaning? Something that brings some fresh changes called as refreshing. But how do we use it in the place of interesting here? So, to give an example, it has been refreshing to watch some South Korean drama. So, it's just a replacing, you're just replacing interesting with refreshing in at this point. Exotic. So exotic means non-native or unusual. We say, it's an exotic bird or something like that. So how do we replace interesting with this word exotic? This tree looks exotic. It also means that is it is interesting. Okay, unusual, out of the ordinary. So the meaning, I'm just giving out the meaning also. Unusual means out of the ordinary, it's something different. So how do we use in the place of interesting here? The fruit looks unusual, nothing I've seen before. That means it's kind of you're communicating to the person that this is very interesting. Then curious. So what's the meaning? Arouse the curiosity of being unorthodox. Example, the looks are this looks very curious. That means interesting. So we understood what are the ways of other ways of saying interesting. Moving on to the next topic, other ways to say because. We often look to remove the monotony from our everyday language use. Using the same set of words means using the same grammatical structure in sentences, and that can definitely be repetitive. Knowing a good number of synonyms can help clear the monotony. So, for those of you who have joined us, synonyms is nothing but kind of meanings. Okay, so let us look at the phrases and also the examples. Now that. So this is a phrase, now that. So how do you replace it? Now that we are happy to contribute, let's not waste any time. So it's also a replacement for because. So whatever phrases I'm going to read out with examples, that is that would be a replacement for because. So now that. So how do you use that? Now that we are happy to contribute, or in simple terms, because we are happy to contribute. So this is how we use considering that. So this is a phrase, considering that. Considering that we hardly get days off all year, we must make a good use of the year end vacation. Next phrase, as long as. So how do we use it? You will not go there as long as I allow it. Next, being as. Okay. Reese drove you everywhere, being as she is a supportive big sister. And due to. So, how do we use this due to phrase? Fia is stressed due to her excessive workload. So, see, we usually say that, no, like whatever names it is, but just an example, Fia is stressed because of her excessive workload. So instead of using because always, you can also say due to, like we have used here. Next phrase, in as much as. So listen, in as much as. So how do we use it instead of because? He plans to finish revising all the chapters in as much as the exam is knocking at the door. So this is a very polished way, or a very new way of using because, right? So so that's how you use in as much as a result of. So this is a phrase, as a result of. So how do we use it instead of because? As a result of the price hike. So imagine saying because of the price hike. So instead of saying that, you can use this phrase, as a result of the price hike we had to discontinue our running offers. And look at this, as simple as instead of using because, you can use as. I was waiting to jump the gun as everyone was going at an annoying slow pace. So you're just using it, using a simple as. Then since you have been trying so hard to make amends, I'll forgive you. So you just you can just observe here, instead of because you are using since. For this reason, so the next phrase is for this reason. For this reason, it was a good idea to induce the guests with the fruitful conversations to break the sleepiness. So because, instead of using because, you are using for this reason it was a good idea. Or you can say because it was a good idea, if you are using a very simple thing, because. Next, as a consequence. Dylan was angry as a consequence of the continued disrespect he had received from the company. Then, in view of the fact that Roderick was being rather generous, in a view of the fact that they did not have much time left in the facility. Okay, so the next phrase is seeing that. So we are using what are the other ways to say because, and we are using the phrases with some examples also. So the thing here is, now we are using seeing that. I was willing to help seeing that you had too much on your plate. Because you see, I was willing to help because you had too much on your plate. Instead of saying that, you are using seeing that. Owing to. So how do you use this phrase, owing to? The company will go out of business owing to the shortage of capital. So instead of saying because, you are using owing. Okay, let us move on to the next topic. Words possesses the power to start or resolve conflicts. The most crucial power there is, one must aim to utilize each word used properly. Knowing a good range of daily use and advanced adjectives can keep you ahead in the word game, be it in the real world or on the Scrabble board. Certain adjectives can be overused, and that tends to take away from the severity of their impact. So let us understand adjectives overused. Adjectives are used to define the state of or emotion of the nouns or pronouns in a sentence. Being overused is a default put off where language is used to attract the attention of the listeners or readers. Adjectives often fall victim to it since speakers have to use them for putting emphasis on or to draw attention to specific portions of the sentences. Using the same words too frequently will tame their power to affect the people on the other end. So let us understand advanced adjectives. Advanced adjectives are a set of adjectives that are advanced in nature, in the sense that they are used in more linguistically or professionally advanced settings, driving the boredom away from speech. Speakers of the English language often opt for less commonly used adjectives to throw out of compliments or rebuke the to serve their purposes better. Using these advanced adjectives strips away the monotony of the overusage of daily use adjectives in general. Personality adjectives. There are adjectives that are used to express the personalities of people, and they are labeled as personality adjectives. These adjectives are incessantly important to compliment someone or talk about them behind their back. There are naturally two different types of these adjectives, positive and negative. Advanced positive personality adjectives. These personality adjectives um, are namely positive in nature. People use these adjectives to speak highly of others, while they use the advanced adjectives to express what they think of others. It should express the additional fact that they are making an extra effort to make the receiver feel special, and in turn expressing their own sincerity towards the case or the cause. Let's elaborate a few of these positive personality adjectives. Okay, so what are these positive personality adjectives? So, what are the adjectives and the meaning? Affable, friendly, and easily approachable. So, amicable, pleasant, and friendly nature. Conscientious, taking one's responsibility very seriously. Convivial, lively, and enjoyable. Courteous, polite, and considerate. Exuberant, cheerful, full of energy. Gregarious, sociable, people's person. Placid, emotionally neutral, not easily excitable. Resourceful, the ability to find quick and witty fixes to any trouble. Versatile, adaptable and flexible nature. So, let us understand the differences with examples. WHETHER. The word weather is a conjunction that can mostly be used interchangeably with and has a meaning closest to the conditional conjunction if. That is usually the case when the sentence states a yes or no question. There are these are either or situations to be precise. Examples: I'm not sure whether if I like sitting here all day. Either I like it or I do not. I wonder whether or if my father will come tomorrow. Either my father will come or he won't. In formal settings, people always prefer whether over if in the case of sentences like the one above. I'm not sure whether I will be present tomorrow. I wonder whether the boss has liked my presentation. But there are also situations where if cannot be used interchangeably with whether. Report to the help desk whether you need help or if you need help. So these are such examples. Here, the instructions is to report to the help desk if you would need any help or not. Regardless of you need any help or not, you should inform the help desk. Report to the help desk if not whether you need help. On the other hand, the instruction here is to let the help desk know only if you require any assistance so that they can provide you with the necessary guidelines. Whether it is a noun that is used to identify a male sheep or ram that has been castrated before reaching maturity. It is a rather rarely used term in the English language. So, probably those of you are listening, WTHER, I'm talking about that. If you see it used anywhere, chances are that is a spelling mistake or type of the words WHETHER or WEATHER. Though WETHER is actually a noun, it is often used as an adjective nowadays, where it can determine the neutered state of the male lamb and goats. Um, Moving on, Bellwther. Weather is found in the word bellwether, which means the one who sets the trends, but its roots is in the sheep farms of the Middle English period, when one wether in the herd used to have a belt tied around its neck, and his responsibility was to lead the herd from ahead. Now let us talk about collocations, definitions, and types. Collocations are important pieces of linguistic detail when it comes to learning a new language. This article vows to dive deep into the realm of collocation, starting from the very definition. Take a look at the types, examples, and advantages of knowing collocations. Why do certain words collocate, and why should anybody care which words they pair with? These usual questions are carefully tackled with proper examples and explanations within this article. So, let us understand what is collocation. Collocation indicates two or more words and word clusters that tend to pop up side by side more often than it could be considered coincidental. The word collocation is made out of a prefix co, which means together, and the word location that indicates a spatial position. Collocation means that the words or phrases in contention are almost always seen beside one another. When they come in pairs. Okay. There is an inherent tendency to use familiar set of words in clusters among speakers of any language. Idioms and quotations are bigger examples of that. The words or phrases collocated beside each other have often been used exactly like that for over a number of years. It is not that changing the sequence of the words would render them unfathomable, but it is just that they have been always popping up beside each other for ages. It may be a measure of one's authority over the English language, since knowing a language is about knowing how the natives use the words in a language, and they know the secret code of collocation. Why do words collocate? Let us understand this. It must be a valid question invading your head, why any set of words come up together more often than the others. To be perfectly honest, there is hardly any particular reason why they collocate. Rather, native English speakers happen to pair them with more frequently than they do other words. Corpus linguistics is a branch of linguistics that studies a grand number of data with regards to how English speakers use the language and what words they can use and how often they combine sets of words while speaking or writing. Corpus linguistics has enabled us to determine the strong and weak collocations. What are the types of collocations? Let us understand. The two major types of collocations would be based on the strength of the pair's bond. These collocations are strong collocations. So, what are these? Strong collocations refer to the fact that the collocated words almost always pop up together. The strength of the word signifies how closely bound they are when it comes to being used in speech and on paper. The perk of the strong collocations is if someone replaces a portion of the pair mistakenly, chances are that native speakers will still know what they mean and the correct collocation for that part. At best, the missed out opportunity to use the strong collocation will spur a nice a bit of a smirk on the faces of the native English speakers you are dealing with. On the other hand, it will make very little difference whether you use the collocations on point or not while collaborating with the non-native speakers. For example, if somebody asks to start a light instead of turn the light on, it would sound very out of place as the listeners take a few moments to determine what message is actually meant to convey, but the right collocation would most certainly pop up in their head soon. That is the strength of the collocation that had continuously been used by millions for good number of years. Okay. So let us talk about weak collocations. In case of weak collocations, at least one word should be easily alterable since the bond is weaker than that of strong collocations. That means the same set of words tend to be able to collocate with a few different combination of words. Choosing weak collocations over the strong can be a good trick for the English learners since that opens up possibility of being right and understandable most of the time. But knowing the weak collocations and being able to use them on spot would always give you some points. For example, in broad agreement and in broad daylight would be good examples of how weak collocation work. You cannot tell what must come after in broad, unlike what happens in case of strong collocations. Grammatical collocations. There are a few more types of collocations in the English language based on their grammatical structure. A few of them are explained and exemplified below. So let us understand verb collocations. The verb noun collocations are by far the most common ones in the English language, and these are used non-stop in everyday situation. Below are some of the examples of verb collocations. Burst into tears, that means crying. She often bursts into tears. Lose temper, meaning getting angry. Let's not lose our temper. Run the risk, risking. Liars always run the risk of getting caught. Take a break, meaning relaxing. You can take a break. Break a record, doing something better than the rest. They broke all records. Give a lift means sharing one's ride. And how do you use this? I decided to give my teacher a lift to school. Raises taxes, rise taxes. So it means increasing tax rates. The government has raised taxes on packaged food. Meet expectations, meaning doing as good as anticipated. The performance didn't meet the expectation of the fans. So these are examples of word collocations that I'm giving. Got divorced, that means break up in a marriage. They got divorced. Keep a promise, doing as promised. Sadly, I couldn't keep my promise of being punctual. Caught a glimpse, seeing something very briefly. Sharon caught a glimpse of her father. So let us move now that we understood verb collocations. Let us move on to adjective collocations. Adjective collocations are usually very simple since they are composed of one adjective that modifies the noun that comes after in the combination. Below are some of the examples to explain the category better. Deep pocket. We need deep pockets to establish this business. So, what do you mean by deep pocket? It's nothing but being rich. So, when you use it as in the form of adjectives, you can use it as we need deep pockets to establish this business. Deep sleep, meaning hard to wake up. He is in dire need of some deep sleep. Okay, let us move on. Heavy drinker who drinks a lot. Being a heavy drinker takes a toll on the kidneys. High quality, meaning great in quality. This is high quality. Strong feeling, meaning positive feeling. I have a strong feeling about this. Strong opinion, meaning hard to change any opinions. How do you use it? Strong opinions are not bulletproof. Moving on to business collocations. Collocations can be such a inadmissible part of formal collaboration. In specialized settings, collocation is a part and parcel of the daily register of the space concerned. When taken out of their conjoint placement side by side, only misunderstandings prevail. Listed below are some examples of business collocations. Okay. Open an account. What do you mean by opening an account? It means start a collaboration here, particularly. Are you here to open an account? Join forces, meaning teaming up. So, how do we use this? Let's join forces with the marketing team. So, since we are using business collocations, attract investors, promoting investors to invent. We'll have to strategize well to attract hefty investors. Counterfeit money, meaning printing fake money. Counterfeiting money is a punishable offense. Close a deal. That means signing an agreement. So, how do we use this? Let's close this deal right away. So, we understood business collocations. Now, let us move on to emphatic expressions. Placing intensifiers before verbs express acute emotions. There are intensifier plus verb expressions that have been used collocated for ages, and changing the intensifiers knowingly or unknowingly would not have similar intensity or effect. Honestly believe, that means having faith. How do you use I mean this? I honestly believe your son would grow up to be a gentleman. Positively encourage, that means cheering up. To use it in a sentence, the company positively encourages punctuality and sincerity. Readily endorse, meaning ready to stand up for. So, let us use this in a sentence. We will readily endorse peace at all times. Sincerely hope, meaning strong expectation. She sincerely hopes to get selected. Strongly recommend, meaning big push. So, how do we use it in a sentence? I strongly recommend choosing this neighborhood. Totally reject, that means dismiss. The client totally rejected our innovative take. Utterly refuse, meaning sincere denial. You're saying no. So, how do we use this in a sentence? I utterly refuse to fall for this trap. So, you may be wondering why do you have to learn collocations? Learning collocations in any language would give you an opportunity to use the language in a similar manner as a native speakers do. It proves as a marker of how well you speak or practice a certain language. Using the collocations when necessary and with the utmost expertise would allow you to into the fluent speakers club. Since the learners of the English language wish to speak the language as fluent as the native speakers, they make an effort to internalize the word combinations and strong collocations. Though the native English speakers may naturally adopt them, the learners of the language must learn them one by one. How to learn and practice collocations? You may be wondering this, right? So, let me explain. Many educators may choose to put together long lists of collocations for their students so that they can teach them in bunches while keeping track of what they are learning and how. But the foolproof option to learn and practice collocation can be collocation dictionaries available in the market. Collocations dictionaries are not the same as ordinary dictionaries. When ordinary dictionaries focus on providing accurate explanations to the words of the terms listed, collocation dictionaries takes the responsibility to provide the set of commonly used collocations that go with the keywords to make a great range of collocations. These collocation dictionaries can be the language learners' best friends. The collocations are often internalized simultaneously, but a little effort can make the words stick at least 2 times longer. People may downplay the importance of learning and practicing collocations but it is momentarily important to take English language learning to the next level. Knowing about collocations and their importance should do a word of good at your language learning endeavors. Moving on to the next topic, synonyms and antonyms to enrich vocabulary. So, you may be wondering what is a synonym and what is an antonym. So, definitely we will understand this as we move further. Okay, synonyms and antonyms can help enrich the vocabulary of the language learner in a quick place if they can be used productively. Knowing about the synonyms and antonyms in deep depth can equip you to use them with expertise so that one can use them in widening their vocabulary in a language they are learning. So, what is the definition of a synonym? Let us understand. Synonyms are words that mean the same or similar things in the same language. Synonyms words can serve the same purpose as their counterparts more often than not. Synonyms are often used to avoid repetitiveness in language when composing long speeches or written pieces. Avoiding the use of the same word over and again helps bring a polish to the language used. So what exactly are synonyms? Is it same or similar? Words with the same meaning and similar meaning have a very subtle difference. Same stands for the absolutely identical or easily replaceable counterparts of a source word, but similar stands for a word that is not identical but close to the one it is being compared to. Words with both same and similar meanings are labeled synonym, and they are used in the synonym situations. Okay, when are synonyms used? Now that you understood what you mean by synonyms, we'll understand when are synonyms used. Listed below are the occasions and manners of synonyms being used in the English language. What is the context here? Synonyms depends on the context it is being used in. The words can be nearly similar, but they can be used in slightly or completely different contexts depending on which situation it is usually used. The adjectives beautiful and handsome are synonymous in meaning and should be okay to be used in the same or similar scenarios, but to compliment someone for their appearance. Beautiful is used for female and handsome towards the male. So, hope you understood the context here. Fixed scenarios. Words with nearly similar meanings tend to be used in certain types of scenarios. Though there are subtle difference between the adjectives adorable, pretty, gorgeous, cute, spectacular, etc. They are all used to throwing compliments at people or something else. There is no particular reason why babies are cute, little girls are pretty, baby boys are adorable, a bride is gorgeous, but a mountain view is spectacular. So you understood what are the fixed scenarios here. Habit. Habit is a big deal when it comes to language. Language comes into being when people habitually keep using similar words in the same sequence or in the same context. With time, these become habit, and the next generation just keep using similar sentences or phrases out of habit. Sometimes habit would decide which of the synonyms are to be used in what context, even after almost being the same in the meaning. Certain words sound better in certain contexts, and the rest are heard to sound similarly good or right in the same situation. Depending on where it is being used, the words seem to revolve in flavor too. Now that we understood synonym and how it is used, what is the context, fixed scenarios, habit, let us move on to definition of antonym. The words that make a contrasting or opposite sense would be considered antonyms. Antonyms would easily stand against their counterparts, posing an opposite sense towards the word intended. Antonyms keep the variety going. But just like synonyms, antonyms too play a vital part in spicing the language up and sift out the monotony from it. So, what do you mean by antonyms? Does it mean opposite or contrasting? The word contrast means a slight distance in meaning with the word it is being compared to. Opposite stretches that distance farther away to the point where the word absolutely contradicts one another. These opposite or contrasting terms both serve as antonyms, depending on what sense would work best and where. Polar opposite or subtly contrasting antonyms are used in suitable contexts. So, when are antonyms used? Let's take a look at when and where antonyms or opposite words are used in the English language. So, when we talk about context, undecided rules determine what words would be better suited in what context. Antonyms play along these rules and sit where absolutely opposite or slightly opposing senses flow through. It varies depending on context as to which of the antonyms terms would suit best. Depending on context or whom it is indicating to or which part of their appearance is being reviewed, the antonym of beautiful can be ugly, unattractive, ordinary, disgusting, or grotesque. A man may be ugly depending on his dress up, unattractive in appearance, and disgusting in his behavior, depending on the speaker, commenter's emotions, or choice of words. How do you use it when you're talking about gender? Words determining the opposite gender often stand for their respective antonyms. The socially acceptable binary nature of gender has allowed this to happen since there were supposedly only two types of people in the society according to their assigned gender, and they were conventionally thought of as inherently opposite of one another in nature. That's where it came from, the from that women should be antonym of the word man in English. Some may argue, why is it not popularized that animal is a antonym word for man, but most antonym lists would give woman as the answer. So wider choices of words. With a good collection of synonym and antonyms at hand, the writer or speaker can be versatile in terms of choosing between them. That would diminish the monotony from the language used in daily life. Having a large English vocabulary showcases mastery of the language, and that in turn entails a greater level of fluency and expertise in using the right words in right context. Without a good range of antonyms available in your vocabulary, the speeches and write ups can lack spark. Determine new words. Getting to know new words becomes easier when you know the synonym or antonym of that particular word. If you know what good means, putting the similar meaning of that word well would be easier to have entered into your vocabulary. Same goes for antonyms like bad, evil, vile, disagreeable, unacceptable, etc., which can enter your collection of words more easily than adding random words to the existing collection. Acquiring a bigger vocabulary. Widening the extent of your known words is a big challenge for the new learners of any language. It proves to be a hard job to keep enriching the collection of words in your target language. But after a certain point, an advanced level of linguistic expertise requires a vast collection of words. Since synonyms and antonyms can fast track you into opening up to a wider range of vocabulary quicker, it can be a fantastic tool for language learning. For the learners of the English language or any target language for that matter, learning sets of words as synonyms and or antonyms of the same word acquired earlier is always easier than learning completely different words with various meanings. Okay, let us move on to the next topic. Thesaurus is a dictionary containing synonyms and antonyms of words that help people look them up more exclusively than inside an ordinary dictionary. An ordinary dictionary would have the meaning and examples of the words being used in sentence, but this would have synonyms and antonyms of a single word listed in a dictionary like manna. It can be a handy tool for learning the synonyms and antonyms of a known word or in bunches. You may know these words separately, but how they can convey similar senses or meanings will help connect the dots in your mind and keep them listed in an organized fashion. Learning words in a vacuum is always less effective than learning them in a pairs or sets. Pairing words with their synonym or antonym counterparts always work like magic for new learners of a language, as they wish to acquire a larger volume of words as quickly as possible. Now, learn new words with vocabulary tree. Learning new words in a language is always a tough job. Mounting the words to be learnt in a relatable order with the help of the graphic resource of a tree eases the process. The tree would house necessary definitions and information about those words so that in a compact graphic scenario, all the listed words work better for the learner. All this makes learning new words easy and durable. Learning new vocabulary begets hours of practice over a long period of time. What is a vocabulary tree? Vocabulary tree is a visual organizer to learn, teach new words in a language. Holding the tree theme constant, the root of it would have the root word or morpheme. Branches would have the words that stemmed out of that particular word, and the leaves can have short descriptions of each branched out the word. Vocabulary trees are used in schools to teach new words to children. The method of word formation becomes imminent in the vocabulary tree. The whole mechanism of the words being formed with the root word is portrayed graphically in the vocabulary tree setup. Vocabulary tree versus words list. Word list is a set of new words with their meanings in the source language of the learner. These lists are the oldest prop in a language learning book to learn vocabulary effectively. People are used to learning words in lists of manageable size. One or two lists a day, word lists have been working well for many, but putting those lists in a graphically organized form of a tree let people memorize them more easily. The graphic element in the vocabulary tree tends to be more effective for the learners as they pick up on the visual cues for easier and normal. One might say listing words in a specific orders is one kind of visual cue in itself, but experience will tell you that visual cues consisting of pictures are more effective in that case. Vocabulary trees wins the fight off against the word list. How to make vocabulary tree? Making a vocabulary tree depends on a certain level of expertise in the target language on the creator's part. The learners aim for a similar level of expertise as well. Taking printout of the picture of a tree and laminating it will allow you to draw and write on it with a marker over and again. But you can choose to draw your own tree every time you stick vocabulary to it. Both are valid ways. Tree as long as it works for the learner. Root word morpheme at the root of the tree, and words having the root word in them are situated on the branches. The leaves may hold the meanings of key facts about the branched out words. The tree theme can be used over and again to have a play at different root words and words that are made out of it. After the learners get a hold of how it works, they can attempt their own vocabulary trees. Visual memory. Visual memory implies the visuals that stay stuck in your memory. The sensory perception of what's seen through the eyes assists memories to form and stick. Research proves that people find it easier to put things into perspective when they see it themselves. The same theory implies when we want something to stay in our cognition for longer. When you see it, you learn it quicker. You see the spelling of words in a new language, but what are words if not a bunch of letters crammed up together? 1 or 2 months into vocabulary learning, it starts to get boring, and learning spelled out words tends to stick less and less in a memory. There comes a need for visual assistance. It will not only spice things and make it interesting, it will make learning new words more effective. Okay, let us move on. Visual memory makes connections to spelled out words with how they connect to one another. Spelling wise, while the motif of a tree helps position each word in certain proximity on the graph, and it would help position the words, the memory for better memorization. The brain finds it easier to memorize lines and pictures in context or formation than endless combinations of the same set of letters. Vocabulary tree. Fun fact: the most interesting part about vocabulary trees is that you find new words that share a root, word you have seen a lot. Funny English. Funnily, English, they would share a part of the word and nothing else. Not meaning, not parts of speech. I mean, stemming out of the same root. Word does not mean they have to share anything else like the context they are used in. For example, the root word spect can be seen in the words respect, expect, and suspect, but they cannot be farther away in case of what they mean or the context they are normally used in. Advantages of learning with vocabulary trees. Vocabulary trees are very effective prop for learning language learning. Let's look at a few advantages of using them. The learners will have a visual cue to remember the newly learnt words with. Learners will have a good idea about word formation in the target language. Teachers will have to dig deep to create vocabulary trees which will keep them in practice. Learners can have creative authority to mold their tree, whichever is more effective for them. Learning new words can be a bit easier than normal with the help of vocabulary tree. Creating these trees can help the marker find new words that stem out of the same root. Schools for little children as well as language learning academies for adults should make good use of vocabulary trees to get more words into the learner's vocabulary quicker. The more important deal here is that one should use these vocabulary trees so that the new words do enter their brain and stay there for longer, along with their meaning and corresponding words they come up with. How to learn new words, and does it make you smarter for real? Learning a language is no child's play. Such an irony. It's always easier to learn new things at a young age, and language learning is not different. Having said that, it is not an easy process by any means. When we learn a language, we aim at learning the vocabulary to get a kickstart. But as we have learnt it a fair bit, we get distracted by other stuff and take adding to our vocabulary lightly. It should always be on the top of our list to notice and learn new words when we can. There are a few tricks to make the vocabulary stick to our mind, and it makes the process a lot easier. How to learn new words? By adopting the right method. It is not very hard to learn new words. Notice, memorize, practice. With these three corresponding steps, it will be easy to learn and acquire new words on a regular basis. I might sound scary to always keep doing, but there is a method to the madness, so please read on. Notice. The first step of learning new words is to notice them in your daily life. You can keep an eye out for new words 24 bar 7. That would let you notice them easily. There could be a few ways of to notice any new word that may come your way. Reading. Reading is a great way to add to your vocabulary. When you read a book about something, it lets you in on vocabulary and topics regarding its subject matter. It would always broaden your knowledge and outlook. With that comes sets of new words and phrases that you have not known before. Your responsibility is to notice them and add them to your word armory. Watch movies and TV series. Movies or TV series too are great source to learn a language and its unique expressions in context. If you keep looking for new words and sentences while you are submerged within the realm of the movie, you will find interesting new words and get to know unique usage of them as you stare at the screen. It is not very hard to take notice of them either, since our mind automatically shifts our attention to new things we hear or see. Listen to music. Songs could be another fantastic way to grab on to new words. With catchy music, the words will automatically stick to your young mind while you enjoy it. Noticing them in a song would be little challenging in terms of new words. Lyrics and music usually blend in an outstanding mixture, where in many occasions it becomes hard to tell them apart. You can always look up at the lyrics on the internet and take notice of the words you do not know. That way, the next time you listen to the same song, you will know what it says exactly and the word will stick. Memorize. Memorizing new words is a big challenge for most of us. It halts countless new lingual endeavors in the world each day. There are tricks to memorize new words, and it can come in handy when trying to memorize new vocabulary in a language you know or one that you are willing to learn. Memoronics. Memoronics is a memory device that lets you remember things easily. We have all taken the help of one uh, or other during a school years of cramming before exams. Making acronyms with the first letters of a list can help you remember the list. The other way also help where you use a sentence with where each word starts with the letters that construct a word. So that you can remember the spelling correctly. There are so many such tools to help with memorizing. Flashcards. Flashcards can help you remember words that you are learning from the first time as well as practicing them for a few initial days. Having cards with words written on one side and the meaning written on the others will let you learn and practice with the help of visual apparatus that works like a charm. The effective use of this tool will help new words stick to your memory. Learning in context. You can hardly remember a new word or phrase in a vacuum. You must learn them in a context. With a particular context to guide your mind, it would always be easier to memorize and recall the new words you have just learned. That is why movies and lyrics work so well while learning a new language or adding to your existing armory of words and phrases. Make mental associations. Without making mental associations with the language of words you already know, some visual representations of them or some instant they relate to would always help place the words strongly in your own vocabulary. One can memorize any new information easily using this tool since imagination and making connections come naturally to humans, some more so than others, making the knowledgeable decision to link new words to something you already know or have experience would always make a huge difference while memorizing them. Vocabulary, a complete guide to improve your word memory. Practice. Practicing learned vocabulary on a regular basis would help you acquire them like your own. Language is one of those skills that go bad without regular practice. It is more true for the process of learning vocabulary in a new language or adding to the vocabulary of the language you already know quite a bit. Journaling. Keeping a journal in the language you are learning would help you stay in constant practice. Writing a few pages or at least one page in that journal each day would be a great help to your new acquired language skills. It's no different when it comes to doing your vocabulary. Writing things down always makes it easier for your brain to remember them. Journaling keeps all your endeavors together and things become easily traceable when looking for something you have just learned the previous day. Word games. Word games can be a fun tool to practice a language. Crosswords, Scrabble, Hangman, Boggle, etc. can be your friend, or you can find numerous digital word games. The ones available on your phone are highly addictive and time consuming, so you must make good use of them towards generating productive outcomes. Always seeing the new letters and words in front of you will be a great natural practice. Conversations. Conversations are the ultimate goal of language acquisitions, where some wish to go way beyond. Practice makes perfect has never been truer. Listening to the pronunciation and expressions of the speaker of a language is bound to improve your own as your brain registers them simultaneously. That is why most language learning tools online aim to connect the learners, at least a few native speakers of the target language with whom they can practice written or spoken conversations with. Why keep adding to your vocabulary? Let us understand. The bigger your vocabulary, the bigger your capacity for understanding. With a wide array of words at your disposal, you can express yourself better in a language. When a language is not your native one, it opens your mind up to a new ways of thinking and feeling. If a new language opens up a window to a new realm, the vocabulary gives you new tools to express yourself more accurately. There are a few added benefits to acquiring new vocabulary listed below. So, probably I would be concluding my live stream here. Let us continue with the vocabulary session in my next live stream. Thank you so much for joining. Please do subscribe to my channel for many such communication skills, the current affairs, and many such speeches also. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good